Hello, everyone. How are we doing? I hope you're doing absolutely wonderful. Here we are. It's Saturday, and I am your Saturday night. Oh, I truly overly enjoy these particular moments where where we can get together and just have a wonderful time, a wonderful conversation, and I hope you're doing wonderful. I always wish the absolute best for everyone, and I'm always hopeful that your life is going magnificent. Though, understandably, that's not always the case. Little sip here. Mm. Oh, right as we're about to get started, let me just give you a quick visual descriptor. I have long brown hair, glasses. I'm wearing a red shirt that says Your Saturday Night, and a red sweater. Right behind me is my office and studio space. We're sipping on a little coffee tonight. It's pretty nice, actually. Uh, and yeah, if at any point in time today you have any questions, feel free to throw them out in the chat. And we'll get to everyone. Now, I do have captions enabled for those who need them, so just make sure if you need those, check to make sure those actually don't. You don't have to make sure of anything, but if you need captions, there's captions there, and hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that's helpful. We've been having a lot of discussions lately by the river in regards to various ways to make the best and make the most of our own practices, our own scheduling, finding our passions, finding the way forward to get to those passions. And I can't I cannot stress enough how much I hope that whatever your passion is, you're reaching out and you're getting a hold of it, and you're truly diving in headlong all the way, getting it done for you. For you. And that's actually the thing that's most important. It's for you. Um, the things that we wish to do in life, the things that we're passionate about, and the things that we enjoy are fundamentally for ourselves, and there is nothing wrong with that. It's actually a beautiful thing to embrace something that brings us joy and to really get into all the nitty and gritty details that go along with that. There's just so much that we really can enjoy when we take the time to do something for ourselves. Oh, hey there over on LinkedIn. How are you doing? How are you doing? All right. So, the topic of the day is creating a career with your craft. Um, I am an artist. I'm a filmmaker. I'm an author. I paint. I draw. I make videos for all of you wonderful people to enjoy. And there's so many other things I do, but I'm, of course, on this same kind of journey, this same kind of path, creating a career with my craft. And, I wish the absolute best and the most success for everyone else who's out there right now who wants to do something, or who's on their journey, or who's making it happen for their passion, their craft. Have a little cup of here. It's later in the day, but I hope you have your cuppa, coffee, tea, whatever it may be. It's later in the day, so if it's well, it's later in the day here. So if it's something non-caffeinated for you, I entirely understand. Now, we're going to get down to some brass tacks in regards to creating our craft and some really good ways to do that, and creating a career with your craft, and some really good ways to do that. And the first one, and the biggest thing to address from the get-go is what is your craft? What is your passion? I know that some of us may have an answer right away for that, like an immediate answer right away. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to do. And for some of us, maybe we don't know. For some people out there right now, perhaps you don't have an answer to what is your passion, what is your craft, what is the thing that you wish the most to be doing with your life, with your time. And if you are in that position where you don't necessarily know what you want to do, well, that's step one. If you're going to create a career with your craft, if you're going to follow your passion, well, ask yourself what that passion is. What is your craft? What is the thing you want to bring forward? So, I identified early on in my life I wanted to be a writer, an author. I found that when I was very young, and because I found that when I was very young, I was able to really start building that craft, that passion, that talent very early. And I was fortunate enough to have some wonderful teachers and wonderful encouragement from certain people in regards to continuing to push forward. Uh, oh, my cat just won't leave me alone. Okay, come on. All right, she's going to have to lay up here while we talk because apparently she can't not be part of the show. But if she doesn't behave, she's going to have to get down. She's trying to get to the microphone already. This is me almost every day, no matter what I'm trying to do. I I oftentimes end up with one of my cats. Oh, oh, see, she just couldn't help herself right into the microphone. Uh, Trying to get up on my lap while I'm drawing or while I'm writing, or if I put up a set to do filming, you know, they're just right here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. I just wanted to lay down. That way we can keep going. All right. But yes, so I was fortunate enough um, when I was very young to be able to identify the things that I really wanted to do, and that was to write. And because I wanted to write, and because I identified it early, I could start working on those skills very early. She can't leave the microphone alone, so she has to go. And then, of course, I identified that I wanted to do things like act, and so I ended up getting involved in drama while I was in school, and I ended up being able to do some things when I was younger, um, which was great. And of course, I identified very early on I enjoyed art, and again, I was able to start building those skills early. Uh, However, sometimes in life we discover our passion later on, and sometimes we discover the things that we really want to pursue later on. So, before I get too much further along on this kind of side point on it, That's bullet point number one. If you want to create a career with your craft, you really need to ask yourself what that craft is, and you do not need to be specific when you start. You don't need. Oh my goodness. You don't need to be incredibly specific when you start. If you know that you want to write, if you know that you want to paint, if you know that you want to draw, if you know that you want to sculpt, but maybe you don't have a complete idea of how that's going to be, that's going to be the first thing that you're going to really want to spend time uh, going into. Because as soon as you've identified that first step, from there you're going to be able to develop. And we have some people joining us over on Twitch. Hey, how are you doing today? Um, all right. So we've answered question one, and question one is very important. So as soon as you've identified what your craft is, well, then this is going to bring up point number two. Point number two is going to be practice. Now, that should, of course, be pretty plain, but practice is going to be the next thing. And we were discussing the other day about scheduling time for creativity. Well, this is where you're going to really want to implement that. Once you've identified the craft that you want to build your career out of, then you need to practice said craft. So you're going to need to schedule that time. Thank you so much, by the way. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to put something in the chat. Hopefully that goes everywhere. If it doesn't, that's perfectly fine. But it should also be in the description or somewhere nearby. Of course, a link to my art workshops that are coming up. You know, you can definitely get into one of those. Uh, if you would like to put time and practice into one area of art, and that's of course painting, and those are abstract expression classes, and I'll talk about that more later. So we're really just going to uh, focus on these three things. First and foremost, identify your craft, uh, practice your craft, and schedule time for it. You know, every skill set, every journey, every road forward in our lives, they require practice and craft, practice and scheduling. And scheduling, actually, I'm not going to be able to emphasize that enough, because if you're not putting time forward into that scheduled practice time, you know, you very well could lose out on some of the ability to hone in, you know, to really hone in on some of the finer details. So what I'm going to use as an example right now is art, specifically art. Now, I schedule my art time, and for those of you who follow me on Twitch, you already know that every 2 to 3 weeks I join you for a Saturday there on Twitch and on YouTube, and for an hour and a half I paint. Now, for that hour and a half, I'm painting the majority of that, and I'm not going in with a set plan as to what I'm going to paint, but I am going in with a scheduled understanding that I am going to be painting right then at that time. I'm going to have my canvas out, I'm going to have my easel out, I'm going to have my paints out. So that's a really important thing as an artist and a creator, I make a point not just to schedule that block of time, but I make a point to schedule it so that I'm both working on my craft, but I'm also doing a secondary thing, which is actually kind of explaining what I'm doing. Now, that second part, not so important when you are building your career with your craft. Um, when you're building your career, you're really going to focus on that scheduled time. But this actually brings us to our next point. When you are actually going forward to create your career, um, to build your structure for yourself, one of the things that you're really going to want to do is find people who are working in that field of art, of creativity. And so if you want to paint, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find people who are painters. And you're going to want to find people that you can either um, watch and follow along with, or even listen to, just or be converse with in some way. You want to be able to engage with someone who's currently pursuing or in the process of doing the creative the creative avenue that you want to pursue. Um, so I highly recommend YouTube because, obviously, if you want to do something very physical, very tangible like painting, you get on YouTube and then you look up the type of painting you want to do, or you just look up painting and you start watching artists, and you listen and you follow along, or you take notes and you study. That's perfectly acceptable, and it's any way that you want to go about that. But that's another really important thing. Find people who are doing what you want to do. So if you are pursuing writing, start reading. I know that sounds so simple, but you need to be reading if you want to be writing. And if you want to have an understanding about not just how to write, but the way writing flows, the way the beats go, in all different manners of writing, you're going to need to be reading. And if you want to draw, well, then you're going to need to spend time reading books about drawing, watching people draw online, listening to uh, some sort of instructional, um, because there's always more to learn, and there's always a great deal to take in from other people, other artists, other creators. It's a cornerstone of building your own craft, and if you want to create a career from your craft, you're going to need to be very familiar with how other people are making it happen, how other people are creating art, how other people are writing. You don't have to do everything the way they do, and you don't have to do a step by step along with rote of someone else's methods. But I most certainly recommend completely learning the way that other people are doing your craft, are creating the way that the way you want to. Um, do let me know how my sound is coming through. Uh, had a little bit of a worry there that I might not be getting sound. Let's just make sure. So I can at least see that all of my captions are coming through, so that's wonderful. That is absolutely great. All right. Just going to take a moment here. I would be very happy to hear about anything in regards to what is your craft? What is the what is the art that maybe you want to pursue? Feel free either now or on the replay to put it in the chat, put it in the comments. That would be wonderful. Oh, hello there. All right. Now, we've touched on a few things here in regards to, and we have a cat. We've talked about a few things here in regards to creating your career and how that path uh, can work, how it can move forward. Oh, let me just. Sorry, Baba Yaga really wants to be part of this moment, but she won't leave the microphone alone. Oh, yep, she's not going to leave us alone. That's okay. Happens. It's perfectly fine. All right. It's just one of those days. It's just one of those days. It's okay, right? Well, sometimes this is what you have to deal with. To Oh goodness. All right. Well, just to just to continue on. So, in creating a career with your craft, in pursuing your art, your dream, the things that you want to do, after you've identified it, after you've practiced, after you've scheduled, after you've started following other people who are uh, producing the art or a kind of art that you want to, you're already well on your way. You're well on your way to some really important foundational points. Oh, hello over on Twitch. Great to see you. Ooh, take a sip here. It's our foundations for what we're going to create that makes everything work, that really gets things moving. Oh, I got a little bit of a sore throat. Now, we really. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have another sip. apologize. Oh, yes. Uh, I should have the mute a whole lot closer, um, but I do not. Now, now, when it comes down to our foundation and the way we really need to move forward, um, the foundation. All right, the foundation for your craft, your art, are going to be very, very simple things in the end. It's also going to be a really far from straightforward process. However, we've already talked about some ways to build up that career, and another very important thing that you're going to want to do is you're actually going to want to dedicate an amount of time uh, to a very study level. So there's, of course, practicing our art, whether that's writing or painting or drawing, which you're going to want to have the practice time that you're scheduling. But you're also going to want to put in study time. And study time is going to be separate from, say, following other artists and seeing what they're doing, and it's going to be separate from your practice because your study is going to be looking into things like uh, the actual mediums that you can use. So, if you wish to pursue art, if you wish, if you wish to pursue art, and what you're going to look into is drawing and painting, there's a lot of different mediums to draw and paint with, and that's a really important thing to look into, to study. And if you're just talking about painting, you're going to be talking about a wide array of things. And that's like you have oil painting, watercolor painting, acrylic painting. They have gouache. There's even pastel painting, which that's a different, and then ink painting. So those are just some of the traditional methods. But painting can also extend to airbrush painting, and then of course graffiti painting. Street art itself is a very valid art. So if you perhaps want to pursue something like that, you're going to need to go ahead and look into it. So these studies of learning more about your craft are going to be incredibly valuable. All right, and over on Twitch we have study and time to select all the components. Yes, exactly. Um, you want to really know as much as you can, but you don't have to try to push it all into a small amount of time. What some people will do, and I'm going to give you great piece of a great piece of information here. Um, do not try to do. Uh, don't get everything all at once. Don't don't get it all at once. If you want to paint, don't walk out the door and get yourself 100 brushes and hundreds of paints and like lots and lots of canvas and everything. Don't do that to yourself. And the reason I'm going to say that right now is because you will get more value from getting a few supplies and then trying that particular thing So try that. So if you want to start with watercolor, get one little watercolor palette and get a small pack of brushes that you can get. You can go to any sort of hobby store or even a lot of the dollar stores and whatnot. Uh, you can go online, you can go on Amazon, get one small pack of brushes, some basic canvas board or paper. You can just get paper. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. And then get one palette of colors and then start with that. And say when you start studying, you see something else and you say, I would like to try that. It's going to help you understand the different mediums so much better. You know, you're going to be doing something really good. You're going to be getting practice time in, but you're also going to be getting your study, and you're going to get your hands into a lot of different things, which is going to give you a better understanding of what you like. So you're actually going to tick off a lot of important things here. Thing number one, practice time. So you go ahead, you get a little thing of watercolors, you do that, and then maybe the next month or the month after that, you know, it doesn't have to be right away. You try acrylic. So a couple of months down the line, maybe you try some acrylic paints and you see how that works. And you're going to keep up your practice time and your scheduled creativity time, but you're going to be able to incorporate new things. And say in study you watch a video and someone's using a particular shape of brush or doing a technique, well then maybe you want to get a brush like that and then practice that technique. And what you're going to do is you're going to build up your skills, your supplies, and you're going to actually find what you like. You're going to find what you like. Maybe not what you love, but what you like. And the reason I say it like that is because you might not know what you really love in the arts for maybe a long time. Maybe you're going to find it really soon, really early on, and maybe you're going to find it after a lot of practice. But if you find something you like, and then you say, I want to do more of that, then you can go ahead and you can look more specifically into that one art. But I do recommend try as many things, study as much as you can, try as many things as you can, and minimal investment with maximum return. And I say minimal investment with maximum return because if you put, say, a couple of dollars into supplies this month and then a couple of dollars into supplies a few months from now, but you're still practicing the entire time, you know, you're going to get a maximum return. You are. You're going to slowly accumulate all the tools and skills that you want and that you will need while maintaining a steady course forward. Alright, so over on Twitch we have I prefer a slower process usually, and on LinkedIn my daughter likes acrylics. I like acrylics too. I usually use acrylic or ink. These are the things that I understand that I enjoy, and they're really my preference. You know, and when it comes to drawing, I really prefer charcoal. Um, and that's just me. That's just the way I like to go about things. But I've learned this because I had a very long period of time. You know, I did take art classes, and you know, I did independent studies. In high school, you know, I was doing art and painting and drawing, and I took additional classes. Then I did an independent study in fashion design, and I did a certification course in commercial design, and then I went to college for um, graphic design, multimedia, and some 3D modeling and animation. Um, but I learned what I liked, and I also learned what I loved. All right. So on Twitch, I took 3 years of art in high school too. Yeah, it's great to have an early start, and I can't emphasize it enough. I also realize that not every school out there has a really good uh, art program anymore. Some of them are falling to the side. Some are great, some aren't. And that's okay, because the education that we can give ourselves and the education we can get after our high school education, it's still very large that what we can get. And there are so many possibilities and so many avenues and venues. Uh, Now, all of that aside, I'm going to go to the next thing, which I cannot emphasize enough. And, if you've gone ahead and if you've been doing of, all of your practice, all of your study, you find people you want to follow or listen to or watch, or books that you enjoy that are art books, all of that. Um, I'm going to recommend that you start, if you don't already have experience in it, you start finding museums or galleries around you. Now, of course, there's many different types of art, and I've talked about a lot of different types of art, but no matter what art you want to pursue, uh, get to a museum or a gallery. And I'm saying get to one, not like right away immediately, but go to galleries, go to museums, see what's there, and really get an understanding of how art itself changes over time. You're going to be able to see lots of very different styles of art, and lots of ups and lots of downs and lots of colors and lots of so many different things, and also so many different ways to interpret the world. So many ways to interpret the world. All right. So some comments really quick. We need art in schools. Yes, I agree. And then, of course, another comment. I did band in middle school. No art but music. That's great, because music is so important too. And of course, a comment on Twitch, they always want visitors. Yes. Galleries and museums always want visitors. Support galleries and museums, big and small, uh, local and otherwise. You know, there's a big difference between a local gallery and, say, a large museum, but you're going to get so much out of both. Um, and the more that you're getting out of them, the more you learn, and also maybe you're going to have a chance to meet some other artists, and you really want to be able to meet some other artists, even if you don't have some really tight relationship or otherwise with them. You want to know these other artists. Okay, I like this. These are great comments on Twitch. We have get to know and support your local artists. I'm actually going to put that one. It won't let me. It won't let me. All right. But yes, so I really like that comment on Twitch. Get to know and support your local artists. most certainly. And of course, another comment, pay attention to what draws you in. This is so true. This is so true. You want to pay attention to what draws you in. You want to pay attention to your local artists, and you really want to broaden your own horizons. All right. I apologize for my throat tonight. I need to have my mute button right next to me or make it a hotkey. So I'm going to remember that for the next time we get together to talk about this. And yes, museums and galleries are great for kids and families. So very right. Comment over on Twitch. Now, here's going to be my last really, really big tip. And my last really big tip is actually this: save everything that you do. There is a lot of contention over this concept. However, you want to save everything that you do. Whether it's a line drawing, whether it's a notebook with scribbles, whether it's watercolor paper that you've just splattered something across, save it. Organize it, put it in drawers, folders, get a little cabinet, however you have to do it. And I understand that space can be a concern for many people, but if you can get like an accordion sleeve or something like that, or you have some room in the back of your closet, however you have to do that, save those pieces of work. We have another great comment on Twitch in the chat. Date it. I will agree. That's one that I don't do as often as I should, which is dating your work. But I do save all of my work. Now, the reason I'm saying save it is this. What you're going to want is the ability to go back. So no matter when you start pursuing your craft, whether you do it today, tomorrow, next month, whenever you begin pursuing your art, there's going to come a point in the future where you're going to look at something that you've made and you may be incredibly happy with it, maybe you won't be. Maybe a couple years after you've started. And what I would like you to do at that point in time is to go back to the stuff you've saved, and I want you to look backward. Look back at your first month, your first day, your first week, or even your first year, and see how far you've come. Because if you've been studying, and you've been scheduling, and you've been practicing, and you've been pursuing, where you're going to end up is going to be so I'm not going to say far, but it's going to be a great deal different than where you started. So where you end up is going to be different than where you started. And also, remember that where you find yourself at that point isn't even the end of your journey. It's just part of it. So you have further to go. you have more to gain. So save all of your work so that in a couple of years, in a year, 10 years even, you can look back at your beginning. Now, I would like to say thank you, everyone, for being here for this conversation. Now, depending on where you're joining, somewhere nearby is going to be a link for my abstract art workshop starting next month on March 19th. I'd be very happy to see you there. You know, it might be the first step in your journey, maybe it's the 100th step. Whether you've been painting for a decade or a day, or you've never touched a brush, I encourage you to come, and I encourage you to just explore. Explore an art that maybe you're familiar with and maybe you're not. All art is art, and no matter where you are on your journey, no matter what your skill level, I truly believe that you'll get something from the workshops, and you can attend all of them, you can attend one of them. Uh, it'll be perfectly fine no matter what works for you. But I encourage it because it's so beautiful to be able to join in on something different, something new. I love going to museums and I love visiting galleries, and I love watching people paint, and I truly enjoy learning new things and seeing new things. Oh, and we have a great comment on Twitch. Me too, and gardens. Gardens are awesome when you go to those when you go to like those big, sometimes those big city gardens or even little tiny. We're not going to get into that, but gardening is of course an art, and I encourage it most wholeheartedly. So I'm just going to wrap up though, because this has been a really great time. We've been together for a little bit, close to an hour, and I think that we've had a wonderful Saturday night. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back over some of the key points that I would like you to take away from this. Number one, identify your passion. Ask yourself what your craft is. What is your passion? What is your art? And, you know, even if you have an answer, ask yourself anyway. And really think about it. Whether you wish to paint or draw or write, make music, make a garden, ask yourself what your craft is, and it'll make it'll make so many roads open up. So identify your craft. Then practice your craft. Now I'm going to switch this order a little bit. First I'm going to put scheduling. We're going to change this order up. Schedule your craft. Now scheduling your craft is probably going to involve maybe buying the supplies for that craft, and schedule that. Go ahead. So if you want to take up painting, the first thing that you're going to need to schedule is picking up your art supplies. Well, remember, you don't have to pick up everything all at once. Just go ahead, get a couple of things, and after you have them, it's time to practice. So identify your craft, schedule your craft, practice your craft. So it's a slight adjustment on the order, but nonetheless, incredibly important. I'm surrounded by naughty kitties. So after you identify, after you schedule, after you practice, pursue. Find other artists. Watch them. Learn from them. Go ahead and study beyond that. And of course, I'm going to cap it off with the most important thing, in my opinion. Visit museums, visit galleries. See what's out there. There's so much to appreciate and so much to learn. And I hope that it makes your life just a little more beautiful. All right, everyone. This has been your Saturday night, and I am here your Saturday night. I want you to have a marvelous weekend, and I want you to be excellent. And if you have cats, make sure to keep them away from your microphone. I'm sorry, it's so funny to me right now. It's just so funny. All right. I'm going to be signing off. All of you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. Somewhere nearby is going to be a link for the Eventbrite tickets. Please come join one of the art workshops. And I appreciate you all. Take care. Be excellent. I will see you all again real soon.